Hello to a first time recording of some Total War Warhammer on my channel. I haven't uploaded in a while, of course, but basically I've been enjoying a lot of Total War Warhammer, and I've been getting to the multiplayer scene and playing some games and basically learning what is meta and such, which I've really been enjoying because I've missed playing competitive games, and I say this is a really good game to do that. But it's going to be Norsca versus Vampire Coast. And I'm playing as Vampire Coast. So, in the front line, I took some deckhand mobs. These guys are just terrific chaff units. They're going to basically tank anything that comes towards them for a while. I mean, they don't rout off, of course. I mean, I've also got the Tide of... Oh my god, I'm not going to even risk trying to pronounce that word. I'm dyslexic, so this doesn't fucking help. But basically, these chaff units, really, really good in the front line. Berserkers will cut them to pieces, which is, understandable, of course. They're going to put up no fight against Berserkers, but... basically, they can hold the front line for a little while and let my more valuable units get some value. Anyway, I also took 2 Fellbats. Now, these guys were obviously for chasing off javelins and basically getting rid of any units like that were going to be taking down my big, large units. And then I also, on the side, have some Scurvy Dogs. They're going to be flanking around and also getting some of the javelin units as well in case they bring them. But I also took 2 of the gunnery mobs, handguns. So these guys are really, really good. They, of course, have armor piercing. I also took the Black Spot as well, the one that has anti-large melee attacks. I don't know if their missile damage actually does large as well, like cannons, but I don't think they do. I think they're pretty good though. They will hold the line against most large units that come towards. They can put a little bit of hurt. They can put a lot of hurt, but of course their armor piercing damages against large units as well do a lot of damage. I've got some pole arms. So these guys are more for protecting the Black Spot, and of course they're over here to protect my mortar. So I wanted to pressure his front line in case he did go very, very wide against me. Of course, I didn't realize the map. It's got this massive ass fucking, I don't know, you want to know what that is, but big stone thingy in the way. So mortars are not exactly going to be as useful as I thought they would be over here, but they can. So I've got some pole arms defending them. I've got some of the flanks, covering my flanks. Then in reserve, I had, so first of all, we'll start with the Necrofex Colossus. So we took the Gallows Giant. So this guy, he has flaming attacks, and he, of course, shoots flaming missiles, or whatever you want to call fucking fire at people. So in case he brings Skin Wolves or Frog, I thought this guy could be pretty good. Of course, he will probably die to either Skin Wolves or Frog, but he can put up a bit of damage, of course. Both those units have regen, so I thought if he does take them, he's going to obviously be able to do flaming attacks and do quite a bit to them. In reserve as well, I also took some Depth Guard. Now, these guys were basically going to be in reserve and waiting until the last units had been killed. So, basically, if there's any Berserkers left or anything like that, these guys will cut through Berserkers extremely fast. Of course, Berserkers don't have armor piercing, so these guys would basically just win those fights any day. They could probably take on maybe 5 Berserker squads and probably win, so they're really, really good. As for my Lord, I took Salt Spire. Now, I was thinking about taking Count Noculus or, taking Count Noculus or Luther Harkin, yeah, I forgot his name then. I was thinking about taking those 2 lords, but then I thought, well, I wanted to go a little bit wider here. I wanted to go a little bit cheaper, so I took Salt Spire, and basically, of course, she's got the Spear Fisherman's Net, and she's got the Kraken's Bane. Yeah, Kraken's Bane, so obviously that's really good against Norsca. They have some big, scary monsters. The melee attack and bonus versus large on any units near her would be really useful against anything that they bring. And then lastly, I took a Captain of the Deep. She has Tide Cool, so in case this guy did go really wide against me, I wanted something that I could clear up a lot of chaff of Berserkers and stuff that have barely any armor, so Tide Cool was for that. And I also had, oh my god, I can never pronounce this, Desians of the Deep. Basically lets you spawn rotting Prometheans. As for my opponent, he's got, in the front line, he went Marauders, so pretty good. You know, they're going to have shields, they're going to take a lot of the oncoming fire. He did go the Berserkers, he took some Berserkers, so they're going to basically clean up anything unless I take care of them quickly, so I had to be very worrying about that, but I had a lot to do with them. Of course, this Lord, he took Frog, really good against any large, companions that try and take him on. Of course, he's got regen as well, so he's going to be a real, he's got that breath attack as well, which can clear out a lot of chaff as well. Vermeer, Stalkers, I'm not too sure why he took these. I mean, the armor pit, maybe in case I went a heavy Depth Guard build, so that's kind of understandable, and to be fair, I have taken Depth Guard, so those guys will put in some punishing. He had some more Norscan Warhounds. In the back, he took some Marauder Hunters, so these guys are the armor-piercing ones that basically don't have bonus versus large, but they do, of course, armor-piercing damage. So maybe, as I say, taking these in case I go Depth Guard or have a lot of big, scary monsters that have a lot of armor, like Rotten Prometheans or something like that. He also took the Javelins as well, so again, these guys are going to be basically killing anything that's going to be large and posing a threat. He also went for a Sorcerer of Fire. So he's got some nice flaming attacks, of course, very good against anything that has regen. And then lastly on the side here, he had some skin wolves that are armoured, so of course he doesn't want to be taking much missile fire with these guys, but still, I mean, armoured, they're decent. And he also has a skin wolf werekin, so this guy's really, really good. And so I'm, as you can imagine, I'm quite glad I took Salt Spire now, but yeah, let's get into it. So, first things first, we started with a bit of back and forthing over here. His Norscan Warhounds did try to take on my Scurvy Dogs, which I know they'd probably lose that matchup. Yeah, they're even armoured, so yeah, I knew I'd lose that matchup, so I wanted to retreat those as fast as possible. As I say, he's pushing up with his skin wolves on this side, so he saw that I had a lot here, you know, ready to deal with them. I had the Gallant's Jar, of course, that would do flaming attacks. They would absolutely wreck any skin wolves that come over here. I started firing the mortars over here because, of course, I realised that I couldn't really shoot with his main army because this, of course, was absolutely blocking it, so I decided to go for the skin wolves. He may, I mean, this was interesting, so he decided to start pressuring me. I don't know if he thought he could catch out my Scurvy Dogs, which is a fair tactic. It's a fair tactic. My enemy, of course, is pushing around here. He's going to obviously come around here on this side here. As I saw this, I started shifting my army over to this side in order to counter this. But as I say, his Scurvy Dogs start pushing up on me. I still find the mortars. I've got my deckhand mobs here with polar arms ready, so they're here to deal with them. So what I do is I actually cast, I believe, yeah, I cast Taunt on these guys, so slowing them down, giving them enough time. Of course, the Scurvy Dogs here, they get into a bit of a fight. I bring the polar arms over to deal with that. They charge into my handguns here, but of course they won't rout because of basically, you know, leadership. They're pretty good, and they rout instantly. So I thought, okay, well, this is smart. I'm going to basically send these Scurvy Dogs to chase off these Warhounds, and then send these Scurvy Dogs over here to chase off these Warhounds. So pretty good engagement for me. Say, balance of power is still my favourite. It's very early days in this battle, but I was able to get off quite a nice little win there. I was able to get off these units very, very fast. As I see, the frontline engagement is about to happen though, so Frog coming up, he's got all these different units, pretty hard for my opponent though, but yeah, I mean that is just so much damage from the Necrofex Colossus, doing some nice damage. Frog is coming towards him though, so I was pretty worried at this point. I did engage in the front line though. I was getting a lot of my deckhand mobs to go in nice and early, and I count the Spearfisherman's net. So at this point I thought, okay, let's try and see if we can get the black spots engaging on them and getting all the damage. So as you can see, he's getting roasted right here. Frog taking a bit, actually not as much damage as I thought. Maybe I was shooting at the Marauder champions with that, but I've got Salt Spire coming in. I mean, bloody hell, look at the way she runs. That's so cool. It's like when you're playing Apex Legends and you see Wraith, like, you know, like the hands behind you, like an anime character. But yep, she's charging in, fighting, going right for, oh my god, look how big that is, but going right for a Frog, so I was hoping to get some pretty good damage. At this moment though, when I did spear him, I was getting some my deckhand mobs with the handguns, of course, ready to shoot. And of course, my Scurvy Dogs had already chased off a lot of things. So, frontline engagement was going. I was engaging my units. Pretty sloppy here, though. I got 2 on the same unit, but that's understandable. So, Salt Spire's going in. She's 1v. Whoa, holy crap. I just missed a sick animation. Okay, that's sick. But she was going after Frog. I wanted to see if I could get her on Frog as much as possible. I think, though, actually, now I remember, I started to retreat her here because I realised that, of course, you've got to be careful with Salt Spire. She doesn't have a lot of armour, and basically, she can get, if she gets tied down, she will get killed very quickly. But of course, my gunnery mobs are shooting nice and bigly into Frog, but this is where it got pretty scary. So Frog started wailing on the Gallows Giant, so I got pretty worried here, because as I say, if that goes down, then I'm not going to really have much to do with a lot of the chaff units. So I started to retreat back. As I say, huge fireball coming from the Sorcerer of Fire, so that does a lot of good damage to the Gallows Giant. It doesn't have resistance to fire, which I think would be a nice little touch, but maybe that would be a bit too overpowered. So yep, no, he's doing alright. He's doing alright. So he's retreating back. Of course, I do summon here the Desins of the Deep. I can never pronounce it. So the Rotten Prometheans coming out here, taking in the front line so they can take up chaff. I've also got these nice anti-large deckhand mobs. Mortars are still firing, of course. Still have my gunner. So I've got my back line secured, okay? Unfortunately, I did make one mistake over here. I sent my depth guard over here to chase off these marauders. Now, I knew they'd win this fight up, but obviously my opponent made a very smart move here, taking off the marauders here and basically chasing off one of my most expensive units to deal with them. Of course, they will win that matchup and they will get them eventually, because I think, 36 versus 35. So yeah, they will catch them in the end, but of course, like, you know, he's taking off one of my most valuable units, so pretty scary, so I hadn't ran much in the front line. Of course, I just missed the Tide Call here, so yeah, I used Tide Call from Captain of the Deep. Necrofex Colossus is still absolutely burning stuff over here, which is doing nice, but the Skin Wolf is on him, so it got pretty scary. So, Salt Spire coming in here, doing some nice, good damage, doing some nice little polar ram action, doing some, you know, I don't want to say stripper action, but she's on that pole, and she's doing some work. Front line here, still holding. Front Prometheans are getting some really good effort here. We did win on the flank here, but then, of course, Skimwall started coming in. So at this point, I saw myself an opportunity. So this guy actually did sort of like leave his javelins. No, he didn't leave them back, but basically I used my bats and started to harass these units non-stop. And then, of course, I started bringing my scurvy dogs around. Actually, no, I remember I sent the scurvy dogs in to chase off this unit here, which was still nice. I didn't want any units coming back if possible. So, yep, Salt Spire still in the front line with the rest of her units. Of course, you can't heal Salt Spire, so you've got to be really careful. Sorcerer of Fire is doing some really nicely, casting Flaming Sword. It's buffing all these units up, giving them some nice weapon damage, and some damage would be useful here. But Colossus is taking some damage, and he's probably not the point where he's crumbling, but he's taking a lot of damage. Another Fireball hitting him really hard, -40 now. So yeah, he's crumbling very fast. But I get another net on. I get another Spearfish's net on Frog, and I see my opportunity here. I start getting my handguns to shoot right into Frog, and this is when we get some serious nice damage here. Now Frog, of course, does have regen, so he can sort of tank a lot of this, but I mean, getting serious damage on Frog is important. And then, of course, we've got the Deep Captain here, still chilling. I think Salt Spire's still in, yeah. So Salt Spire, I sent her in. She starts 1v1ing the, oh well, not 1v1ing, but taking on the Skimwolf. The Skimwolf is really bringing the Pound Town to Colossus, and he goes down. Over here, I do see that he's bringing his Fimir Ward. They have broken through the front line, so I can understand that was going to happen. My front line weren't designed to take on Fimir, but then they start going for my Black Spot handgun, so I cast another Desnians of the Deep. I'm probably saying that wrong, yet again. Dyslexia, don't hurt me. And basically they start taking on these guys. So they're a good chaff unit. They're taking out these guys. Well, not chaff, but they're going to hold against Fimir for a long time. I fall back my gunnery mobs. All this time, though, my mortar has been getting values. I mean, bloody hell, only 16 kills against it. But they've been doing damage. That's what's most important. I say my Death Guard did win that matchup. I've got some Scurvy Dogs back here, but I start bringing my Depth Guard back now because I'm realising that this front line engagement is starting to get a bit hairy, basically. And Salt Spire is now in a bad situation, so she's caught in by Marauders. She's also got the Skinwolf there. She's got Frog coming on her, so I'm really trying to get her back now as fast as possible, because I know that Salt Spire will not win this engagement. I've got some deckhand mobs to try and mob them up and take on Frog, but I knew that if I didn't get Salt Spire back here, this could be really bad. So they are determined, though. These guys were determined to kill Salt Spire. So at this point, I thought, okay, if they're going to get Salt Spire, let's try and take out the rest of the units. So he's got some more Skinwolves coming in, setting the deckhand mobs. Getting these gunnery mobs, of course, to shoot at Frog, trying to hold him back. I still got the Deep Captain, though. Over here as well, I do get a nice catch on his Sorcerer of Fire with some deckhand mobs, so they're going to tie him up. I mean, he will tank a little bit of that and won't go down as easy, but they'll hold it. Of course, the Depth Guard is coming back in, but Salt Spire does get battered really bad. And, I mean, the Skinwolf is faster than her, I believe, so he's going to be able to chase her off, which is kind of unfortunate. But I'm still shooting right into the back of Frog. I've got the Depth Guard coming in. I've got these Polar Arms here. So it's not looking all bad. My opponent still has some Skinwolves, though. Balance of power is a little bit in my favour. He still has some Fimir and stuff coming back. But to say, Frog here, really bad situation. Patched out by the Polar Arms. He's going to be taking, that bonus versus large from these guys. Depth Guard come in. They're the saviours now. They come in and start wailing on all these Marauders. They won't be able to beat that. These guys as well, I believe I turn them around to shoot the Fimir. Yes, the Fimir start charging. So I start shooting as much as I can the Fimir, taking out a couple of models. And I think they rout before they get into combat here. Oh yeah, the Mortars even helped out a little bit. These Polar Arms, though, are getting screwed. And the Sorcerer of Fire is getting also a bit screwed by the Deep Captain. So that was all good for me. Of course, my opponent, I think I see Frog here. I think I do bring the Scurvy Dogs in to deal with that. But eventually my opponent does get my Mortars with his Marauders. But the Skinwolf is coming back in, so he does have a Skinwolf, which I think does charge into my gunnery mob here, the Black Spot, which, well, they're going to get chewed up by him. But the Depth Guard here, fully health. And he's not having, my opponent doesn't really have much left on the field. I still got the Deep Captain, so that's going to still be providing some nice leadership buffs. I mean, and I think this starts to happen. It just starts to happen to army losses. I think the last thing standing is over here, which are the Skinwolves, armoured. But, yeah, I mean, really well played to my opponent. I had a lot of fun in this game. As I say, I like playing fair games. I don't like corner camping. I don't like any of that bollocks. As I say, I really love fair, long games where basically the balance of power is very even and you maybe both lose your lords and such like that. But really well played to him. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next Total War Warhammer Let's Play, or replay, I guess.